Howdy boys and girls, happy Homebrew Wednesday. Let me slightly adjust this for you so you can see my whole head, even though it's atrocious, I know. So let's make this short and sweet. Where have I been? Fucking tons of shit going on. They do not tell you when you have kids that they are going to be as much of a handful as they actually are. Sipping on my American Black IPA, and she is tasting good. It's a little hops on where the hops are not where I would like it to be, but I did that on purpose. It was for a bachelor party with a lot of non-hop heads, so I pulled back on the hops. I keep fucking around with that recipe, and you know what? That is just the one recipe that the original recipe was the best. Every variation I've made since then has just made it worse. I think I'm just going to go back to it, tried and true, and that's what it is. So that's where I've been, just fucking busy. Additionally, I went down to Dogfish last weekend and got to do some tastings, did the tour, took a lot of video, but unfortunately I took the video after I was drinking, and I normally don't eat breakfast, so I was drinking on an empty stomach and basically had 12 ounces of 10% beer on an empty stomach. So a lot of my video is upside down, and so we'll see how much of that I can do. But next thing, Growler challenge. I talked to Nate, who talked to PFC Brewery. The Growler should be shipping out to Kevin Clements this week. So hopefully in the next week or two, Kevin Clements will have it in Oregon. So should be a blast. And then from there, it'll start working its way back and making its way back up to Dan up on the up in the Northeast. So it should be pretty fun. Let's see what else is going on. I've been going back and forth with SJ, with Dan, with Larry, with Nate, with Brad, just talking with a lot of people, and got a lot of creative juices flowing. I've decided to get back to my roots of doing like a lot of experiments and trying to document it, because if there's one thing I can do, is I can document what you should and should not do. More or less, it's almost always the latter. But hey, we learn from our mistakes too, right? So, speaking of experiments, basically, here's the experiment that I am doing in this week's episode. Cheers! Alrighty, so here marks round one of the battle of Sloppy Sally and Pristine Pearl. What we have here is, so what I did is I made a double starter. This is the yeast that I harvested from the starter. And then the other set, so one starter went into here, the second set of the double went into here. And there is a method to my madness, and here it is. Okay, so here is what what those past ramblings were about. In the past, if you've been watching all my videos, you'll know that I'd been harvesting some San Diego super yeast over and over and over again, and it was either on the 7th or the 8th time I harvested my beer. It had no infections, but it ended up going down. The final gravity was 10001. It was like nothing. A lot of people said, oh, that means you have an infection. I looked up on it, and that's actually not always the case. In fact, a lot of the times, guys, when you're like, oh, I got an infection, I gotta get rid of the beer, it's not the case at all. Just calm down, take a second, evaluate all the scenarios. Don't just say like, oh, it's got a weird, the krausen looks weird, infection. You know, take everything into account. Krausen looks weird. Oh, it's a new yeast. I've never used it before. Or temperature is different than I've normally done it. Or the malts are different than what I've normally used with this yeast. So on and so on. So this case, I talked around, and some people said, according to what they've heard, the San Diego super yeast is a blend, and sometimes when you continually harvest a blended yeast, if you don't harvest basically all of the yeast, you only pick up basically certain parts of that yeast, and then you keep harvesting it, and you keep only picking up that certain part. So maybe the blend that just ferments everything, if you keep picking that up over and over and over again, you're basically going to have a scenario where you don't have the San Diego super yeast anymore. You now have this like monster that you've created. And that's what I believe happens, because I've got a couple of the beer still left from, it was supposed to be a porter, now it's, you know, an imperial porter, because it was going to be a 7% beer, and now it's a 10% beer. It was going to be high 7, and now it's like low 10s. So that's basically what happened. So I decided, I was like, alright, well, let's try to figure out how that happened. One, maybe it was maybe it was because San Diego Super Yeast is a blend. So what I decided to do was I used something different, another yeast that I like, and that's the San Francisco Lager yeast. You know, it comes with it makes a really crisp, super clear beer, and I really like that flavor, and I feel that flavor works pretty well with a lot of things. I can make a pale ale, I can make a lager. I can't really make a stout, but I don't make a lot of stouts. It actually works okay with an American red. It doesn't work so well with an Irish. You know, the yeast is really what makes an Irish red, in my opinion. But, you know, it works with a lot of styles, is what I was, in a roundabout way, getting to. So I decided, let's use that. I looked it up. It's not supposed to be a blend, so hopefully I won't have the same problem as the San Diego Super Yeast. So that's issue number one I'm going to resolve. The second thing is, I was wondering a lot of the time when I was harvesting the San Diego Super Yeast, I was harvesting it off of basically the dregs of a fermenter. So what I decided to do is do an experiment. In the my right corner, I guess your left corner, I'll have, what is it, the Sloppy Sally. That is going to be the yeast that I continually harvest off of the dregs of my fermenters. So that one I'm just going to harvest over and over and over again just from the fermenters. On the other hand, I'm going to always make a double starter with this contender on the left, your right I guess, which would be Pristine Pearl. So what I'm doing is I'm making a 2-liter starter every time with Pearl. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to 1 liter will go into a mason jar. It'll be stored away for the next time I use Pearl. The other liter will go right into the fermenter. And then whatever happens with that yeast, I might keep it, but it's not going to be in the competition. Or it's not going to be competition, it's not going to be in the experiment. You're going to have Sloppy Sally and Pristine Pearl. And the idea is, how far can I go down? How many generations can I go down the line where Sloppy Sally still has all of the San Francisco lager characteristics that I want, or Pristine Pearl has them all? My theory is probably with the hardship that goes on in a fermenter, Sloppy Sally is just going to get plowed out and just, you know, be a gaper. It's just not going to work. So that's my thought. All this talking, getting a little parched. So that's my thoughts. If you guys have done something similar, comment down below and let me let me know what you think. Or if you have any questions, you have any thoughts, you have anything else you want me to try out, let me know. I've got a lot of experiments coming up. I've got a video planned for next week. Talk about a bunch of cool things you can add on to your brewery that are dirt cheap and, in my opinion, are just vital to being able to make great beers over and over. And another thing, if you guys haven't seen, Under the Table Brewing hit, I think it was 500 subscribers, and so they are doing a competition. It's or competition, drawing, raffle, whatever you want to call it. Basically, you're going to get a prize. It's super simple. I'm going to put a link down below. If you guys don't go to their page and you've never heard of them, you should check them out. They're awesome. If you're like me and you know Under the Table, but you just got a lot of shit going on and you missed their video, I'm going to put the link down below. Head on over there. Hop in the competition. I'm hopping in it. So, hey, I know in instances like this, the more is not the merrier because it reduces my chances to win. But Nate and Brad are great guys, so the more people that they get to their channel, the better. So that's everything on my neck of the woods. I'm looking forward to watching your guys' videos and seeing what you're doing. So until next time, good sirs and good madams, happy Homebrew Wednesday. Take it easy and basically enjoy good beer. Peace.